thinking, a book is a useful positioning tool. It's the fastest path to credibility, differentiation, and authority. And if you're there, you're already half right. So wherever you are on the spectrum, skeptic, dreamer, strategist, maybe a blend, you're in the right room because the truth is a book means something very different today than it did even 5 years ago. And that difference is everything. Now, before we dive in, let me give you a quick bit of context for why I'm teaching this. I've built my entire professional life helping people elevate their thinking, unlock their wealth, and refine the knowledge that they've earned the hard way. And one pattern shows up every time. Wisdom that stays in your head helps no one. Wisdom that gets written down becomes legacy, but wisdom that gets published becomes authority. You already have the wisdom. My job today is to show you how to turn that wisdom into authority without waiting 10 years or hiring a ghostwriter for the price of a Mercedes or falling into that bestseller trap that most people chase for the wrong reasons. So let's start with something bold, something nobody wants to admit out loud. Most people don't want a best-selling book. They want what they think the best-selling book will give them. And that's where everything starts to get interesting. Let's talk about why people think they want a best-selling book. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't actually chasing a book. They're chasing a feeling. The book is just the vehicle. The emotion underneath is the real destination. And when people ask, why do you want a best-selling book? Their answers are almost always surface level. But underneath, there's a deeper psychology at play. Let me show you what I mean. Here are 5 things people really want from a best-selling book. First, significance. This is the big one. A best-selling book feels like the stamp that finally says, I matter, I'm validated, I'm somebody. And for many people, their first time in their entire life, it's when they finally have felt seen with that best-selling book. Number 2 is status and bragging rights. Oh, I am a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Or I'm a US Today best-selling author. People want that sentence because it changes how they introduce themselves. It also changes how others perceive them. And it changes the room they think they belong in. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's important to understand the actual desire behind it. Number 3 is a TED Talk, a TED Talk fantasy. So let me tell you a little something funny and a little sad. There's a guy on TikTok right now telling everybody, just get one TEDx talk and clients will magically show up. He makes it sound like TEDx is the golden ticket to fame, fortune, and inbound leads. But here's the truth. It's a lie. My good friend and authority colleague, Bart Baggett, has a TED Talk with 700,000 views. Ask him how many clients it's generated. I know. That would be 0, not 1. Visibility without authority is just noise. 4 is the passive income fantasy. I'll write my book, I'll put it on Amazon, and I'll sit back and collect royalty checks. No. No, you won't. If bestseller status actually created consistent passive income, Amazon would be filled with book millionaires, not just stuff millionaires. We both know that is not the reality. Number 5, then I'll finally feel legitimate. This is the quiet one that people rarely admit. A best-selling book feels like that final stamp of approval. the permission slip to call yourself an expert, the badge that says, now I deserve to charge more. Now I deserve to be heard. But here's the funny thing. That feeling doesn't come from the book. It comes from the identity shift that writing the book creates. So on the surface, people say they want a bestseller, but underneath, what they really want? To feel significant, to feel seen, to feel respected, to feel chosen, to feel like the expert, to feel confident, to feel like they belong at the top. Those are emotional outcomes, not literary ones. And here's where everything shifts, because what people think a bestseller will give them isn't actually about the book at all. It's about identity, validation, and authority. And that brings us to the real question. What do people actually want? And how does a book give it to them? So now that we've peeled back the layers and looked at why people think they want a best-selling book, let's talk about the truth. Because the deeper you go into this work, whether with authors, experts, speakers, or entrepreneurs, it's clearer as it becomes people aren't actually chasing bestseller status. People are chasing what they believe bestseller status will unlock. And when you strip the emotion away and get down to the essence, what people really want falls into a few powerful buckets. The first, freedom. This is the number one desire, period. People want the freedom to choose, one, their clients, two, their time, three, their opportunities, four, their prices, and five, their reputation. A book, especially the right book, gives them choice. It gives them leverage, and it gives them control. The second is visibility. People want to be seen, especially by the right people. They want more opportunities. They want better introductions, higher quality clients, doors to open before they knock. A book makes you feel visible in ways social media never will, because social scrolls disappear, but published authority gets remembered. The third is recognition. This isn't about ego. It's about acknowledgement. Recognizing someone's expertise is a form of respect. People want their hard-earned wisdom to matter, to be acknowledged, valued, and a book carries recognition embedded in its very format. Authors get listened to. Authors get invited. Authors get believed. Fourth is credibility. This one is huge. No matter how good you are at your craft, in today's noisy world, you're constantly competing against influencers, fakers, pretenders, noisy marketers, people who claim expertise they don't have. A book cuts through all of that. It's proof of depth, proof of thinking, of experience. Tell me what you know becomes, I already wrote the book on it. Being the expert everyone recommends is fifth. This is the dream scenario. You want your name to pop up in every referral conversation. One, you need help with that? You should talk to her. Or, oh, he literally wrote the book on that. She's the one. A book becomes a referral engine, even from people who haven't read it. Sixth is being chosen by AI. Now, this one is new, and this one is big. This is the next frontier. AI is rapidly becoming the first gatekeeper of authority. And if your name isn't attached to a body of authored work, published work, AI has no reason to choose you. Books feed the algorithm. They feed the authority signals, and they feed the recommendation engines. Being chosen by AI isn't a dream. It's the new reality. So the real desire isn't bestseller status at all. It's not charts. It's not rankings. It's not Amazon screenshots. While those are nice, what people truly want is the position of authority, not the performance of authority. And here's the good news. You don't need a best-selling book for that, but you do need a book, not for sales, not for royalties or bragging rights, because a book is the single most powerful positioning tool you can create in your career. A book is the fastest path from expert to authority, from authority to category leader, and from category leader to the person people trust above all others. So if what people really want isn't bestseller status, but rather everything that authority unlocks, then let's talk about what a book actually does for your authority and why it outperforms every other tool in your business. All right, let me show you why a book is still the single most powerful authority asset you can create today. I'm going to give you 6 reasons, rapid fire. 1, a book gives you instant credibility. People trust authors on sight. Your name on a cover communicates depth, discipline, and expertise before you say a word. Nothing else upgrades your credibility this fast. 2, a book makes you look legit. It defines your lane, and it shows exactly who you help, what you solve, and what you stand for. It answers the question, why you, without ever having to explain it. Third, a book differentiates you immediately. In a world where everyone looks the same online, a book is the easiest way to stand out. Most people never finish one, so the moment you do, you rise above the noise. 4, a book opens doors you can't access any other way. Event organizers book authors. Media books authors. Partnerships go to authors. People assume authors are the most qualified option, and a book moves you to the top of the list instantly. 5, a book creates a year's worth of content automatically. One good book equals 2 to 300 social posts, email topics, articles, videos, podcast episodes, modules, and marketing assets. Your book becomes the master source of your message, and your content becomes effortless. And 6, books outperform social and resumes every time. Social media disappears. Resumes get skimmed. A book endures. Books get shared, quoted, saved, and recommended. A book keeps working even when you're not. So no, you don't need to be a bestseller. But if you want authority, credibility, visibility, and opportunity, you absolutely need a book. And now that you understand why, let's tackle a few myths that stop people from ever writing one. Before we get into the teaching, we need to clear these myths up because it's what keeps smart people stuck. Because once these are out of the way, the entire process becomes dramatically easier. I'll go rapid fire. Myth number 1, you have to be a great writer. No, you just need clarity. Great writing comes from great editing, not great first drafts. Myth 2, it takes forever. Not when you follow a structure. Most people struggle because they start with pages instead of a process. Myth number 3, royalties will make me rich. Books don't build income. Authority does. The book is the door opener, not the paycheck. Myth number 4, only bestsellers matter. No, a bestseller is a moment. A book that positions you as an expert creates years of opportunity. Bestseller status notwithstanding. Myth number 5, books are outdated. People may not read every word, but the authority and credibility of a book never go out of style. Myth number 6, I don't have enough expertise. If you've solved a meaningful problem, you have a book inside of you. You only need to be one chapter ahead of your reader. That's it. Myth number 7, I'll just have AI write the whole book for me. Well, if AI writes your book for you, it's not your book. Essentially, it's like a Wikipedia smoothie. AI is just a tool. It can support your thinking. It can help you organize, outline, clarify, and polish, but it cannot replace your experience, your voice, your stories, your earned wisdom, your perspective, and your credibility. A book without you is just content, and content is not authority. Authority requires authenticity. AI can't manufacture that. So yes, use AI as a helper, but if you expect AI to write a book that builds your authority, it won't. Because AI can write words, but only you can write the truth. Now that the myths are out of the way, let me give you a simple structure almost every effective authority book follows. This simple book structure is what every authority needs. Let's get into something useful, shall we? I want to give you a simple structure that almost every effective authority style book follows. Not the 300-page life story, not the rambling memoir, not the inspirational speech with no point. It's a structure that gets you out of your head and gets your reader from problem to solution to transformation quickly. And this is the same structure used in business books, leadership books, self-help, how-to, and expert positioning books. Super simple, super clear. So I hope you are ready, because now it's time to go to work with my 3-part authority structure. First, the problem. Why does this matter? You need to start with the core problem your ideal reader faces. You're setting the stage. You're showing them that you're in the right place. I understand you. This creates instant connection and trust. Number 2 is the process. This is your method, your framework, or your system. And this is where you teach that method, framework, your steps, your philosophy, and your unique way of solving the problem at hand. This is the heart of the book and the part that positions you as the authority. People don't hire you for your biography. They hire you because you have a process. And number 3, finally, it's the promise. What is the transformation? This is where you show what changes, what improves, and what becomes possible, and what life or business looks like after folks have used your method. This is the part that the book gives value and gives you your authority. This is the promise that gets people excited. This is the process that gets them results. And the problem is what makes them pay attention. That's it. 3 parts. Clean, clear, doable for anyone in this room right now. So now that you understand this structure, you're ready for the most important part of today: your idea, your message, and your book's reason for existing. And if you didn't know it, guess what? We're going to build that together right now. Yes, this is an active workshop. I'm not just standing up here barfing on you guys. No word salad here. What we're going to start with is your book DNA. This is an exercise to help you find your idea. So go fetch some paper and pencil right now. Oh, wait. Okay. Now let's shift into the part of today where you get clarity. Everything we've talked about so far is important, but none of it matters if you walk out of this room thinking, oh, she gave a great talk, but I still don't know what my book is actually about. So we're going to fix that right now. This is the same exercise for the past 20 or so years I've used with CEOs, founders, doctors, speakers, creators, and consultants. And it works every time. I call it your book DNA because your best book idea is already inside you, kind of like DNA is in your cells. So we're just going to map it quickly and clearly. So again, get out your pencil and paper, or maybe you want a tablet or a computer. Either way, let's get set up because we're going to start right now. Okay, step one, write this down. Step one, who do you serve? Write down the one type of person who benefits most from your knowledge. It's not everyone. It's not the whole world. And it's not, well, people. It's one type of person. This single choice will determine the entire tone and direction of your book. So now we're going to take 15 to 20 seconds to do that right now, starting now. So let's take a look and review this question again. It's really simple. Write down the one type of person who benefits most from your knowledge. Moving on. Step two, write this down. Step two. And I want you to write this down so you have it, so you'll always have this framework for your next book after this one. So step two, what problem do you solve? What is the core problem or pain point that your ideal reader has? This is the thing that you know how to fix. Don't list 5 problems. Pick the one that changes everything for your ideal reader. This is the thing that you know how to fix. All right, moving on. Step 3. What wisdom have you earned? Step 3 is what wisdom have you earned? Here is the question you are going to answer. What have you lived through, solved, built, broken, rebuilt, or mastered that gives you unique insight? This is your credibility. This is your differentiation. This is why you should write the book and not anyone else. What have you lived through, solved, built, broken, rebuilt, or mastered that gives you unique insight? Step 4. What transformation do you offer? When someone applies your method or framework or philosophy, what changes? This is the promise of your book, and it's the reason that people pick it up and the reason they hire you afterward. When someone applies your method, framework, or philosophy, what changes? Step 5, your working title ideas. Step 5, your working title ideas. So based on what you just wrote, what's one rough working title for your book? Don't try to be clever. Don't try to sound smart. This is simply a sketch. It's only a placeholder. It's not the final. This is just something that captures the essence of your book. And later, you'll all get a free AI-powered title generator that will give you better versions than what you come up with right now in 3 seconds. But the key is that you need to do this exercise to feed the questions the AI GPT I'll give you will ask you in order for you to come up with these fantastic title ideas. But remember, this is step 5, and your question to answer is based on what you just wrote. What's one working title for your book? Who remembers Mad Libs? Anyone? Mad Libs? Anybody remember Mad Libs? It's like a fill in the blank game. Am I dating myself? It's pretty cool. So this next one, our next step is going to be like Mad Libs. So step 6 is the one sentence promise. So in this sentence, in one sentence, we want to write this. And I'm going to go slow so you get it right. This book will help blank. And so in that blank, you're going to put the person that you came up with at the beginning of the DNA exercise. Go from blank. Go from blank, which is the problem that you're addressing. And then finally to blank. And this final blank we will fill with your transformation. So this book will help blank go from blank to blank. This is the heartbeat of your book. If you can define this in one sentence, you can write your whole book. Your sentence stem or your Mad Lib that you have to do is, this book will help blank go from blank to blank. This book will help your person go from their problem to your transformation. Take a moment and knock this out. Look at what you have on your page right now. Let's look at what you have on your page. In about 3 minutes or so, you just, number 1, identified your reader. Number 2, defined your problem. Number 3, clarified your wisdom. Number 4, articulated your transformation. And number 5, brainstormed your title. And number 6, you wrote the core promise of your entire book. Think about that. That's the foundation of every great authority book. And it's right there on your paper right now. How amazing is that? So for anyone who wants to take this deeper, I've built a free tool to help you generate sharper titles, find your promise, and polish your positioning. And I'm going to give all of you access to that link at the end of today's talk. It's completely free. It's my gift to you. They're GPTs, and these will help you use AI to finish your book. You're going to generate resources with AI as you write your book. So now that you know what your book is about, let me show you how a book actually comes together. Simply, quickly, and without the overwhelm most people experience. And this is the part that people get wrong. And when you get it right, the whole process becomes doable. You can do this. I promise you. Now that you've identified your book DNA, let's talk about how a real book actually comes together, the actual blueprint. Most people fail to finish their book because they attack this book process with the wrong step first. They try to write chapter 1 of a book that they haven't even designed yet. So I want to give you a simple, clear structure that makes the entire process doable, predictable, and shockingly efficient. So these are the 5 phases almost every effective authority book follows. And when you understand these phases, writing the book becomes a project versus a mystery. So phase 1, clarify the core idea. This is the most important phase. Without clarity, it doesn't matter how good the writing is. The book will lack direction. And you need to be crystal clear on 4 things. 1, who you're talking to. Again, not everyone. One type of person, your ideal reader. When you narrow the reader, you sharpen the message. Number two, the single problem they face. If your book tries to solve 5 problems, it solves none. Even great authority books solve one meaningful problem. The wisdom you bring, this is your earned insight, what you've lived, learned, tested, broke, fixed, or discovered. Readers don't want theory. They want transformation based on experience. 4, the transformation you promise. What does life look like after they apply your book teachings? This is why people read. It's emotional and practical. And when these 4 are aligned, your book has a spine. When they're unclear, your book has a scoliosis. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, we have to map the message. And this is where most people skip ahead and start writing, but the pros don't. Mapping your message turns your book DNA into a navigable outline. And here's what belongs in this phase. First, the big idea or thesis. Second, the reader's starting point. Third, the journey you're taking them on. Fourth, the steps or stages of your process. 5, the core stories that illustrate the points. 6, the emotional milestones. And 7, the teaching sequence. This is where your book becomes organized thinking. Mapping answers 3 questions. What do they need to know first? What must they understand next? And what completes the transformation? It's the difference between wandering and guiding. And a clear map makes writing 10 times faster and it prevents writers. Phase 3, capturing the content. This is the part that people either love or fear. And it's the writing phase. But here's the secret. You're not writing a book, actually, in this phase. You're capturing raw material. This is the phase where you brain dump your insights, where you take the time to record your stories. You also outline examples in this section. You teach your method step by step. You document your philosophy. You also gather quotes and statistics and evidence. And you want to be writing ugly sentences and half sentences. And you're going to wind up writing things that you may never, ever need. But it's the messy middle part we must all push through. And again, it's called the messy middle because it's supposed to be messy. We need to stop aiming for eloquence, that perfect sentence that always seems to elude us and that exacerbates our writer's block. Instead, aim for extraction. At this point, you're not sculpting marble. You're dumping clay on a table. The shaping part, that comes later. The biggest mistake people make is trying to write pretty too early. Get it out first, then we fix it later. But you want to capture as much as you possibly can, as rough as it is, because rapid fire sometimes help. Oh, I got this idea, and oh, I get this idea. And if you start focusing on refining things here, you're going to either forget this one or skip it and go to the next one. And what if that was a valuable chunk, something that was meaningful, that really would have taken the writing in another direction? That's why it's got to be rough and fast and loose, also following a framework and still accomplishing its goal, the messy middle part of these phases. The next phase is to shape the structure. Now we shape. It begins here. And this is where the reader journey is crafted. This phase turns your content into a flowing experience. And here's where the magic happens. Because one, you choose what stays and what goes. Two, you merge and split chapters. Sometimes they get too big and you got to make more than one. I know that's happened to me. I try to pack too much in and now I get lost. Or what you're trying to achieve can't be covered under this one chapter head. So we got to split them apart. Some of them are too tiny and maybe they belong together because they're related. This is where this happens. Three, you tighten your concepts. This is where we get really clear on what our structure and philosophy and framework is. Four, you sequence your stories for maximum impact. It's one thing to have a story. It's another to be able to tell a story well and for effect, like you're trying to teach something. Five, you get to make sure every chapter answers one specific question. That's why I had to break some chapters into 2 or 3 because they were answering more than one question. And 6, you add transitions so your book moves. This is where your book becomes cohesive and elegant and readable. Think of it like sculpting. Now, at this point, you're carving everything away that doesn't belong so your message stands tall. Michelangelo didn't set out to carve David. For the most part, his message and mission was to release David. And so he carved away everything that wasn't David. A strong structure is what makes your book feel professional. That's what happens in phase 4. In phase 5, this is where our polishing and positioning happens. It's the final transformation. Polishing is editing, yes, but the positioning is where the real authority comes in. In this phase, you refine 1, your title, 2, your subtitle, 3, your chapter names, 4, your reader promise, 5, your voice consistency, 6, your opening and closing, 7, your positioning inside your niche. This is the moment where your book shifts from a collection of ideas to the definitive resource on this topic. Positioning makes your brand and your book the asset it truly deserves to be. Remember, people don't hire authors. They hire authority. And this phase is what creates the authority. A well-positioned book is a lead engine for years. So those are your 5 phases. So first, clarify. Find your spine. 2, map. Build your roadmap. 3, capture. Get the clay on the table. 4, shape. You're crafting the journey. 5, polish and transform it into authority. This process turns a book from a dream into a doable, repeatable system. And this isn't just the high-level version. The full step-by-step version is in the download that you'll get in just a moment. Wow. So I'm essentially teaching you how to write a book. So let's keep going, shall we? So how to create powerful transitions. So now that we've covered the 5 phases of writing an authority building book, I want to give you one more set of tools that will elevate your book from good information to masterfully structured. This is something almost no one teaches, not that I've seen. Well, except for Perry. Now that I think about it, Perry Belcher does teach this. And this is important because nobody except for us teaches it so far that I know. And readers subconsciously depend on this thing, transitions. Transitions are the bridges that keep readers from getting lost, confused, or overwhelmed. And they're the reason that someone can pick your book up after a week and immediately know where they are. So let's start with opening transitions. This is how you begin each chapter. So what is an opening transition? It's like the previously on moment that you see in a serialized television show. It does two things. One, it reflects back on where the reader just came from. And two, it foreshadows what's about to happen next. When you combine these, the reader anchors into the story and gets excited for what's coming. It's the perfect handshake between chapters. And the reason why opening transitions matter so much is readers don't read in one sitting. They read between meetings, on airplanes, at night, during lunch, on the treadmill, and it can be days or weeks apart. And so opening transitions catch them up quickly and get them re-immersed without flipping back through previous pages. So the three-part opening transition formula is simple. One, remind them of the key takeaway from the previous chapter. Not a full summary, just a one anchor sentence. In the last chapter, we uncovered the real reason most people struggle with X. Now, two, we're going to connect that takeaway to the next learning step. This shows progression and purpose. And now that you understand the core problem, we can build the foundation for the solution. Three, preview what this new chapter will deliver. This sets expectations and gives readers momentum. In this chapter, you'll learn the first step in transforming X, the part most people skip. Boop! That's it. That's an opening transition. So let me give you a quick personal example. In the previous chapter, we broke down the hidden beliefs that keep people stuck. Now that you can spot those patterns, we're ready to move into the practical tools that create real change. In this chapter, you'll learn the 3 habits that immediately shift your daily momentum. Short, smooth, and powerful. And by the way, these examples I'll share are from my forthcoming book, Fuck Life Balance, just to tease you a bit with that. And if you want to know more, fucklifebalance.com. There you go. So how do we create strong closing transitions? We opened powerfully. How do we wrap and move on? So let's talk about how do we end it powerfully so the reader gets pulled forward into the next chapter. Closing transitions serve a different purpose than opening transitions, but are equally important. So a closing transition captures the essence of what's just learned. It's not a repeat or regurgitation of the opening. And it gives them a sense of completion. So they feel they successfully closed the loop. The brain is always looking to close those open loops. It also gently sets up the next chapter. So it's like placing a marker on the trail that tells the hiker what's ahead. So here's this 3-part closing transition formula. You want to keep it crisp and intentional. First, distill the main point. 1 sentence max. The key to X isn't the tactic. It's the mindset shift behind it. 2, validate their progress. Readers love feeling like they're moving forward. Now that you understand this, you're ready for the next layer. 3, tease the next chapter. This triggers curiosity. In the next chapter, we'll explore the first practical step that brings this shift into life. So here's a quick example. You now know how the internal narrative shapes every decision you make. With that foundation in place, you're ready to take this from theory to practice. In the next chapter, we're going to map the daily actions that turn this insight into lasting change. Clean, clear, compelling. So let's wrap both sections together. Remember, opening transitions reconnect the reader and set the expectation. Closing transitions summarize, validate, and pull the reader forward. When you use both consistently, your book reads like a guided experience and not a collection of chapters. And that's what creates authority, retention, and transformation. So let's talk about the final close. How do you close your entire book powerfully? So before we move into the final wrap of today's session, I want to give you one more tool, because if you're going to write a book, you need to know how to end it. Closing a book is different from closing a chapter. A chapter transition moves the reader forward. A book conclusion moves the reader into their life with your ideas. And most authors get it wrong. So let me give you a simple, clean formula that creates a satisfying, professional, authority-building ending every time. It's a three-part structure. 3 R's. Reinforce, resolve, and reignite. First, reinforce the journey. Start by reminding the reader where they started and how far they've come. Not a full recap, that's boring. Just a big picture reinforcement of the transformation you've guided them through. So here's an example. You began this journey wanting clarity, direction, and confidence. Throughout this book, you've discovered that framework that gives you all 3. So this reconnects them with the purpose of the book, and it validates their progress. It gives the reader a sense of direction, and that's what they need. Second, you're going to resolve the promise. So every strong authority book has a core promise. It's the one-sentence transformation you worked on earlier. And this is where you close that loop. This is not where you introduce new material. It's where you essentially say, you now have everything you need to achieve the transformation that this book promised. This seals the reader's trust. It's the moment where they feel, yes, the author delivered. Resolving the promise is what elevates your book from content to credibility. Now, 3, we need to reignite that momentum. The book ends by pointing the reader toward action, not in a salesy way, but in a leadership way. You're giving them their next mission. So, for example, your next step is simple. Begin applying the first tool consistently. Momentum comes from movement, and the smallest action you take today starts the transformation. This is where you inspire, you activate, and empower. And a book that reignites momentum becomes a companion, not a souvenir. So do you want dust on the bookshelf, or do you want to be a reference tool for an individual's newfound transformation? So when you close your book, you're not just ending the conversation. You're launching the reader into their transformation fully. So remember, 1, reinforce where they began and what they've gained. 2, resolve your book's promise. 3, reignite their commitment to action. You follow this formula and your book won't just end. It will leave a mark. Now, before we move into our final wrap for today, I want to show you how this structure works in a real book without giving away the ending of my actual book. And again, I have a book coming out, and it's called Fuck Life Balance. And let me show you how I'm using this same reinforce, resolve, reignite structure to craft the conclusion of this book. It's going to do two things. It's going to demonstrate the structure in action, and it's going to give you a live example to mirror. So first, I'm going to reinforce the journey. I'm going to begin the conclusion by bringing the reader back to where they started, overwhelmed, living by other people's expectations, feeling guilty for not being balanced, and for believing the myth of perfection. I remind them briefly of the core shift that the book has led them to make, from chasing balance to designing life harmony on their terms. And again, so the structure is reinforce the before and after trajectory. Second, we're going to resolve the promise. I'm going to close the central promise of the book that life harmony is not a schedule, not a spreadsheet, not a perfect pie chart, but a state you create internally through renegotiating your values, your energy, and your obligations. I show the reader that the book has given them the mindset, the frameworks, the questions, the practical tools that they need to live in harmony instead of chasing balance. So the structure is to resolve the premise by showing the transformation is now theirs. It's not just a chapter they read. They own it. And then three, I'm going to reignite the momentum. I finally push them gently but powerfully toward the next action. I help them identify the first micro shift they can implement. Second, the first boundary they can reset. Third, the first choice they can reclaim. And fourth, the first ritual they can transform. Because the message of the book is simple. You build life harmony through tiny aligned decisions, not giant disruptive overhaul. So the structure point goes, reignite their forward movement with one clear, actionable step. And that's the same structure you can use to reinforce your reader's journey, resolve your book's promise, and reignite their next step. Whether you're writing about leadership, health, money, relationships, entrepreneurship, trauma, resilience, it doesn't matter. This structure works because human beings crave closure, affirmation, and activation. And your book will give them all three. So before we wrap today, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've done together. You didn't just sit through a talk. You built the foundation of your book. Think about this for a moment. You clarified who your book is for. You identified the problem you solve. You articulated the transformation your reader wants, and you drafted your book's promise. You even took your first steps towards structuring a book that builds authority for a lifetime. That's more progress than most people make in a year. And now that you've invested this time, now that you've taken the first steps, I want to give you everything you need to keep going, because your wisdom deserves to be read. Your story deserves to be shared. And your authority deserves to be built on purpose. So I created a page where you can download every single tool we covered today, including a few extras we didn't have time for. So if you visit heatherwagenthals.com/book blueprint, heatherwagenthals.com/book blueprint, inside you'll get the 5-day book blueprint, your step-by-step companion to take your book DNA and turn it into a complete book framework. You'll get the book DNA workbook so you can expand the exercise we did together today into a fully fleshed out foundation. You'll also get the Transitions Mastery Guide. You'll also get opening transitions, closing transitions, and how to guide your reader through your ideas with clarity and confidence. You'll also get how to close your entire book powerfully, the exact structure I use, reinforce, resolve, reignite with examples. You'll also get the title generator GPT. You drop your book DNA in and you'll get multiple title options instantly. You'll get the book DNA GPT, which is a guided tool to help refine your reader, problem, promise, and transformation as you build out your full manuscript. And all of it is free because once you start this journey, I want to see you finish it. So now, before you reach out to me with questions, which is fine, I'm going to ask one thing. Please download the resources first. Do the exercises. Let the process unfold because I will ask you if you've done this already. So be ready and have it handy because the quality of your questions will be determined by the depth of your engagement. The more you do without me, the more helpful I can be with you. Once you've done that, if you still have questions, because they'll resolve themselves once you get started. This is something that I've learned over the years working with so many different professionals in shaping their books. If you have questions, if you need moments of clarity, if you're stuck on certain points, I'm here for you. Again, if you do the work. Now, if you want help after working through the materials, you can email me your questions directly at heather@unlockyourwealth.com. And if you want to talk about next steps or exploring working together, you can call my office. You have all the tools you need to write your book, so you don't need me any longer. Be confident and take that first step yourself. And then, if you still need me, I'm here. This is how we build true authority with initiative, clarity, and follow through. And of course, if you reach that point where you realize, I know my idea, I know my reader, I know my transformation, I want help bringing it all together in a cohesive professional authority building book, then I'm happy to walk you through a done with you or done for you process and take it entirely off your plate. It's no pitch. It's just a partnership, and only if you are needing or are ready for something like that. Again, you have all the tools you need to go be great all on your own. You have the wisdom. That's the hardest part that I can't give you. That's something you earned yourself. You've lived through the experiences that have shaped you. You've built solutions that can change somebody's life, career, business, family, or future. And the wisdom that stays in your head helps no one. So when you put your knowledge onto the page, you don't just write a book. You create a legacy. You create authority. You create opportunity. And a book becomes the thing that outlives you. It becomes the doorway others walk through to find your work. And it becomes the asset that gives you influence for a lifetime. So take what we did today. Take these tools, take these frameworks, and start writing. Because the world doesn't just need more books. The world needs your book. I'm grateful for you investing this hour with me. I'm Heather Wagenthals, and I can't wait to see the book that only you can write. Happy holidays.
Yes, yes. I tell you guys what, um, that's a lot. It's a lot of info. It's info that you need if you're looking at writing a book. I've looked at putting books together. I have half done books sitting on my computer right now. And a lot of the pieces that I was missing are things that she was talking about right there. So I hope you guys were able to take some notes. Hope you guys are able to use those resources that were given to you. I think the links have been put in the chat for all of you. If anybody's got a couple of questions before we get to our next speaker, though, Heather is actually here live, so we're
Hello,
more than welcome.
hello.
Hey, there she is, which is fantastic. So fantastic job, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. It's it's experience. I learn by making lots of mistakes.
I hear that. I hear that.
It's
Awesome.
it's been a crazy journey for sure. And I wanted to, be all things to all people in my genre. And so the first few books I wrote flopped. And that was back in the day when you had to order like 5,000 books. So your garage was full of books. You have no idea how big a book is until you get like 5,000 of them that you're like giving away because you're like, okay, so uh I'm not in the Library of Congress. Like, how are people going to find me? This is like pre-internet, right? Or when the internet was
Hmm.
first born in the 90s, right? And I'm trying to teach people how to trade stocks, and I'm trying to teach people how to do all this stuff. And and it was too much, and people got lost, and it was like an encyclopedia or Atlas Shrugged, and people just like, I'm just not going to do it.